Hello everyone, welcome to another week in our garden. Now the weather is beginning to cool down a lot now, especially at night. Autumn is upon us. My swallows have definitely gone now. They went and they came back, now they're gone again. Now we're getting cold mornings and very misty and damp. I've decided we're going to harvest the squashes and the pumpkins that my granddaughters sent me for Christmas. I didn't know I was getting these till Christmas morning. We'll harvest them, clean them up, and any that's not quite right we'll put in the greenhouse and ripen up. We'll start with the big green ones to get them in the bottom of the wheelbarrow. Now the wheelbarrow, I've put a sack in them just to stop them rubbing on the sides while we're taking them up. As I said, we'll start with the big ones. Leave a good piece on them, as much as you can. Look. And then, oh, it's a good weight. If you can see where that's still a bit yellow, if you put it in the light, it'll darken off a bit for us. So we'll put the larger ones in first, and then we'll pack the smaller ones round them. I'll get on with lifting these pretty pumpkins, and then we'll catch up with you in a while. I filled the wheelbarrow. I'll have to pop these up to the shed area ready for cleaning. I can't put any more on, we'll be damaging them. Now that's the first barrow load taken up. Now I'll take another barrow load and then come back to you again. I'll just take these off, look, and then take it away. Always like to leave a bit of a handle, that'll drop off eventually. They're nice and clean, a few scratches from the leaves, but you'll always get that. I'll just cut this one and then I'll fill my wheelbarrow up. There you go. Little bit of colour on it, but if you pop them in the greenhouse, that'll soon colour up. Another one, the same shape as the last one. They're quite nice, aren't they, for them? I'll have to grow some again. That one's not so big, but I'm sure they'll be happy with it. Right, I'll finish the rest. I'll take these last three off the floor and then we'll start on the frame. We've had a bit of mould problems, look down here. Quite a few moulds. But never mind. Let's take these off. This one. That's a pretty little one, they're like that. And that one. And growing them on the floor, they get a bit of dirt on them, they all need to have a good wash. Now these are all the pumpkins and squashes that were on the floor that I can see. I think we've got them all. I'll take these up and give them a wash, and then we'll take the ones off the frame that are not quite so dirty. Just pop secateurs in there. Now we're up at the compost heaps where I'm washing the pumpkins. What to do, I just have a bowl of water and a mesh on the floor to stop them scuffing, and give them a good wash with the brush, just to get the soil off. Put them on there so it doesn't scuff on the concrete, and then just go around with the brush. It's only a soft brush, not doing any harm. Try not to pick them up with the neck because you'll snap it off. It looks better with that left alone. If you snap it too early, you'll get mildew in the top and then it will die back. Then I just pop them on the top of the bins, just in the sunshine, just to dry off a little bit before we clean them up properly. Right, we've got all the pumpkins that are laid on the floor up at the shed and washed. Now we're going to take everything that's hanging on the frame and hopefully get it in one barrow load. Going to start with the biggest and put them in the bottom and then build it up in the wheelbarrow. Okay, the biggest one is obviously here if I can get it. There you are, that's that one off. Just a weird and wonderful thing. Never mind, they'll like it. Another strange one. Oh well, there we go. We'll keep taking the largest and then put them in the bottom. I'll just cut round it. We'll tidy the stems when we get them up to the shed. It's a nice one. And then I think this one, just tidy those up a little up for them if you can. We'll take these pretty ones from here. That one came off. We'll have to do better than that. We'll try and cut them if we can. There you are, that's better. This one, they'll like that. I like that. That's pretty. Take this green one now. Again. We'll take these next. They look like a butternut. I had that many varieties, I can't remember what they all were. I did put labels on them. They seem to set off at the bottom and then got all mixed up. So we don't know really what type they are. I'm sure somebody will know. Very nice. Another one of these pretty orange ones, and another pretty yellow one. We'll take these off that are above us here. Again, just cut down. Obviously these aren't fully ripe, but this is what happens in these cold mornings, and there's a lot of mist and fog we're getting, and they will just rot them like this. Any mark will rot very, very quick in this cold, damp weather, so the best lifted. These are a bit small, but I'll take them for them anyway. They'll make something of them. And this one. In fact, I think that one's got thicker stem what there is bottom, but never mind. And this one's a bit stuck. I think that's got it. Yes. And it was worth it because it's a pretty one. Look at that. Very pretty. It sounds like the chickens are having a set to up there, so I'll finish off and then I'll come back to you when it quietens down a bit. Okay. Right, that's all the pumpkins that was hanging on the frame. I do think the frame was a brilliant way of growing them. And it was good fun as well. I should do it again next year. We'll have to move it to a new site, and I will prepare the soil for next season. We didn't really prepare it for this season, and see what we can do for another year. But I'm well pleased with those, and I'm sure my granddaughters will. Now that the tops have been removed and the leaves etc. from these pumpkins, you can see how the circles have worked, and they've worked very, very well. They were easily contained, and it was easy to walk between to keep them clean and water. It's well worth putting them down in a circle. Now we've got all the squashes and pumpkins now will be up at the shed. We'll take this last lot up and we'll get them cleaned up and let you see what we've got. Okay. There you are then, that is our pumpkin and squash harvest for this year. We had to pile them up a bit to get them all on the table, but absolutely stunning, beautiful produce. We're just on our way down now to do the raspberries. I'll show you how to take some runners off them, and we need to cut the primer canes down and get the tops nicely mulched, so we'll do all that down there. The other thing while I was just here, it's just a quick reminder for everyone, especially around this area, it's time now to do your last cut of your hedges. I'll do these later this week, and then that's your last cut for this year. So let's go and do some raspberries. Now this time we have had our final pick of raspberries. We've had that many raspberries this year. It's been a wonderful crop. Hopefully we'll find room in the freezer so we can freeze some of these down for the winter. Been an absolutely beautiful year for raspberries, but now we need to cut them down and get them ready for next year's crop. Remember, the workets that you put in now will give us a better crop next year, providing the weather's good, obviously. So I'll pop these to one side, put some gloves on, and we'll start and have a look at these raspberries. Now the raspberries, we'll start at this end. How I've set it out is that these will flower first, the middle ones will flower second, and the end ones will flower autumn. We have a year's supply of raspberries on the new crop. The old crop are all autumn, but there's such a mismatch. We're going to remove those when these have come up. Now these are floricanes. They're a Malin Juno, so remember, floricanes. These are next year's fruiting canes, so we want to keep those, so we'll tie those in. If you look down, this one is this year's cane that is fruited, so we need to take that one out. So if you follow that all the way down, right down to the bottom, and I'll show you, look. Can you see, look, it's fruited, so it has to come out now. It's finished, that one. This is the one that will carry the early fruit. Same again on this one. Remember, floricanes. The one that's fruited, look, you can see the old fruits on it. Follow it all the way down and cut it off. That's nice, that is. And you can see that this is going to be the new growth. At this stage, these are only a few months old, so you're not getting a lot, so it's easier to see. This one has not grown, but with it being a raspberry, it might still shoot from the bottom, so I should leave it and see if it does. Likewise, this one, that one's not shooted, so they're not dead as I know of yet. We'll wait and see. This one, that's next year's cane there, look. It's going to bear the fruit. This is the old cane, so we take that out. You see? And the last one of these, what, there's 4 now, there should have been 6, it's only 4 come up. Again, not these are, just pull that off for showing you. That's the old cane that's bore the fruit, down to the bottom, cut it off. These leaves at the bottom would take that off as well, make it nice and tidy. A few weeds want taking out. Now we'll tie these in. Now we could do this with a taping machine, but we'll do it by hand. Just for, I haven't got a taping machine with me. So it's round, cross over, and then tie on to the, and if you double back and tie again and pull your second one quite tight, it helps to stop the cane moving too much. Now the top bit, rather than leave it flapping about all winter, I'm just going to tie onto there like that. Just tie it on loose. Make sure your string's quite tight on the cross piece, and then just swing that round. Remember, not too tight on the bush itself. It's a lot quicker with the machine, but that'll hold it a bit better for going through the winter. I'll do all 4, then I'll show you them finished. That's the floricane cut off and tied up. Remember, cut off what's fruited, tie up what's going to fruit next year. Now with me only having 4 to do, it was very, very simple to do. But in a few years time, maybe 2 years time, it's going to look like that. Now these raspberries here, they are polka. Now these are summer flowering or autumn fruiting raspberries. So these are primo canes. Now remember, primo canes, we cut them off at the bottom because the primo cane will come up through the early part of the year and flower and fruit for the autumn. They've all fruited very, very well. This one hasn't quite started yet, but it'll be taken off now. So remember, primo canes, you have to take them off at the bottom. So just go in and cut them clean up. Like that. There you are. All the way along. Everything nice and tidy. You can burn these or put them through the shredder and put them on composting. I should leave them out for a day or two so the chickens can finish them off, any raspberries there for them, and then I should probably put them through the chopper. Now, having cut them off, I usually clean up by hand. I don't fork because these are very, very shallow rooted, and then I put a top dressing of mulch on top. I'll show you how I do that when I've done a few more on this row. Now, to propagate raspberries, we do what we call root cuttings. This is a good one to take. You can see there's the main run there, and this has come off and come to here. So we'll take a cutting off this, we'll have that out and use a cutting off it. There will be a root coming across and coming up, and at the bottom of this there'll be some little green buds that are next year's. Remember, we're going to cut this off. So we'll just take that out and I'll show you. I used a knife. I know it's here somewhere. It might be deep. I think we've got it now. There it is. There you are. Now we've dug it up. It took some digging. This is an offshoot, if you like, but now we're going to prepare it for potting. See this, where it was attached to that main run? Take that off. Can you see these two little shoots? They're next year's growth. This is primer cane, so they'll come up in the spring and fruit for us. But we want this for a cutting, so what we'll do, we'll take it off there. Just do it at an angle. There you go. That's a good cutting for a raspberry. Then what we'll do, we'll pop it in some soil in a pot for quickness for you. You could put it in compost if you like, but they'll root just as well in a bit of soil. Can you see that I'm going to keep those two shoots just below the surface of the pot when I finished it? I'll just loosen some more soil from here. I wish that chicken next door would hurry up and give us some peace. There you are, look. I'll just put a little bit more on. There you are. And we'll pop that at the end of the row. Now, raspberries are a terrible job to keep on the rows. They'll keep trying to run out with their runners, so if you always take them off and pot them, you can keep a few more coming up. I'll get on and cut some to this post, then we'll prepare the ground and we'll mulch it so you can see. Another example of raspberries is, can you see this one that's rooted way out of the line? Now, if you didn't get it and take it out, you'll find that you'll lose your row, and these will be all over your garden. So what I normally do, I don't, make sure you got gloves on now, and just pull it out. With pulling it out, we've got a bud growing on the side there, so we've also created another cutting. So we'll go there, look, into the hardwood. Get rid of that, we don't want that. So now that is another little plant that we could pot. Now normally you dig them up like we did back there. Could have worm going, bless him. But with us ripping it up and it's come out with a bit of root and a bud on it, we'll pot that one just to show you. Very simple, very, very simple. Get it up so you can see it. Look. Just a bit of dirt, bit of soil. And we'll pop it with the other one and just let them root up and finish there. Now I've just raked it through with the fork just to loosen it. I'm not going to dig it, remember, it's only shallow rooted. And we're going to put some of this nice mulch on just around the plants. Oh, that's a weed. It'll feed those roots nicely with it being on the top. You can't dig it in, obviously. This is my garden compost that I've mixed with a little bit of manure. Now that's all I do for the raspberries. Just let that wash down and let the worms take it down through the winter, and then next spring they'll all be up, and might have to tie them in a little bit. They say the primer cares you don't need to tie, but I find that if you don't, they just flop over with the weight of the tops. I shall continue this until I get to the other end of the row. Likewise, this row I shall make sure all that is done properly and mulched. Now I've been asked how to take a clematis cutting. We'll have a look on the clematis, and if there's a cutting or two on it, we'll take them for you and show you how to do them. Best done in the spring, but they will root this time of year if you're lucky. This is clematis nelimosa. It was up at the house, but it got sent down here, so we've got it here now. Has a double flower followed by single flower, and there's a couple there I might be able to root, so we'll take those and see what we can do. And we can always do it again in the spring if they don't root. Right, here we are in the shed. If we don't get knocked over by the onions, we'll do a few clematis cuttings. Very, very difficult to root this time of year, but not impossible. Sharp knife, deep pot to put them in. It's the gritty compost that we use for the, I have to call them pelargoniums now, not geraniums. So it's the same compost we use for those. Now remember, when you're doing clematis, we always take the cutting. It's called internodal cuttings, where you cut between the nodes. Usually we cut under the node, but they will actually root from this stem. So I'm thinking I ought to be, because it's a bit dodgy this time of year, we might do 4. We'll see if we can get 4 out of them. Now I'm doing them because I've had a request, but we will do them again in the spring, so it's done both ways. There you are, look, midway, and just take it off. Might be a little bit woody for the cutting, we don't know, we'll see. And then we'll take those 2 bottom leaves off as well, you see. Seems strange to be doing a cutting like that, doesn't it? Then into the powder, it won't stick much, but we'll have a little bit on it, you see. And we're having 4. Now these will need to go quite deep, you see. Quite deep, and a good, make sure that compost is stuck on them all the way. Now when you're doing your cuttings, where we've taken that one from this end, it's best straight away to cut just above the node like that, because they'll look reverse leaves and anyway, and you'll not know which is the top and which is the bottom. Okay, so let's do these other ones and see what we can get. We might be able to get 3 out of this one. A bit of a dead leaf there, but we'll take that off, it should be alright. That's coming off anyway now, so there you go. And we'll go between the nodes, cut. Then we'll try this one, so we'll cut there, yes. So now we know which way we're going on cutting. Into the compost, a bit bendy and whippy these. Make a nice hole. And all the way down to just off the bottom, and then press it firm. We'll press that one over a bit. We want 2 more in there. So let's see what we can do. Remember that we've cut it so we've got a stem, we know. So if we cut it there and there, we will get 2 cuttings. So we'll use that as the base. Again, cut near the node so you know which way round the cutting is. We have cut this, but we'll cut again to make sure it's clean. We'll take these bottom leaves off. Now I do like a little bit of bottom heat, clematis, and we haven't got it, so what we'll do is take these up to the greenhouse. We are going up there in a moment just to harvest some peppers. We'll pop these in the greenhouse because it's too cold down here in the shed. I don't know what the temperature was last night. It went down to 10 last night in here. It was quite cold. But perfectly alright for storage, so it's good for storage. So remember, internodal, so we'll take that there, look, clean it off again. And then we'll go there and there. So that's your cutting. Powder on. Got a hole. A little drop of water now, and we'll take that up to the greenhouse with us. Pop it in the greenhouse. Now it is a little bit risky taking clematis cuttings this time of year. We'll take them again in the spring, and we'll also do some layering. If you remember, we did do some layering on this one once and it took quite well, so we'll layer again as well. Now while I've let you into my shed, I'll show you some of the things we have in storage. As you can see, the onions are all hung here nicely, doing very well. Occasionally I just give them a turn. I don't swing them too fast because of the weight that's on them, just a little bit. There's the garlic we platted. There's only 2 left, one string and 1 rose that we made. That's still being used yet. Now the potatoes, because we got blight this year, what potatoes I could save I put in boxes with sacks on. So I just rip the sacks off and show you. Here's the potatoes that we salvaged after the blight. Now they're in crates to make it easier for me. At least once a week I will move all the potatoes out of the crate and check in each one, and if there's one starting to leak water, that has to go, and any one that the water has leaked onto, I take those out as well. It seems a lot of work, but at least we've got a few potatoes out of a blighted patch. So it takes a lot of work to keep going through them. I just keep them covered here, and then maybe once a week just go through them. It takes quite a time, but it's well worth it. On a normal year I put them inside the sacks, but because I have to sort through them, it's easier for me to do them from the crate. Now over this side of the shed we've got the onions that were far too big to put onto the string, so they'll be stored in these boxes. This box is the ways and strays that didn't quite make it onto the strings, but they'll be fine, so we use those before we use the strings. A little bit of garlic still there to use up before we use the ones that strung up. The apples, not such a big a crop as last year, but we did prune the tree quite heavily to stop the fruit from dragging on the floor. These will last well until after Christmas anyway. Now that's a little tour of my shed. There's still some more products to come in. I think some swedes can come in for the winter. So we'll go and do some harvesting. We're down at the raised bed and I've just thinned out a few of the carrots. There's enough there for the weekend, so that'll be fine. Right, we'll just pop down and get some leeks and a swede to go with the carrots and a cabbage. I'm just going to dig a parsnip up, see how they're doing. I finally got a parsnip out. My goodness me, that took some pulling out. But what a wonderful specimen. If they're all like that, I'm a happy man. I broke the bottom off a bit, but it'd be fine. So the parsnips are going to be good this year. I'll send that over. I'll just fill the hole in a bit. I'll just take these leeks. Good leeks. Just lifted a cabbage for the weekend. You see, beautiful again, lovely and clean. I'm having to dash a little bit because the neighbour's waiting to mow his lawn, so I'm going to cut it and just go. Again, not straight through. I'll leave these leaves here and I'll pop back. Solid as a rock. Very nice. Now the chickens have come down to sort out the raspberries, but they seem to be more interested in the mulch at the moment. They'll spread it about for it for me. The poor old chickens are all in molt, ready to get their new coats on, ready for winter. So they think it's a bit drafty and itchy at the moment. The greenhouse, and I wanted to harvest this cucumber. I've been leaving it to see how big it would grow, but I think I better cut it now because it's going to snap the plant down. So done. That's a decent cucumber. There's a few yellow peppers we need to harvest and a couple of red ones. Yellow peppers, we've had a wonderful crop of them this year, very, very pleased. Even the ones that are not quite turning, I'm going to take now. There you go, we'll just let those few finish on there, we'll go to this one. When they get in this deep amber colour, that's when they really are right, that's when they're at the best. One more there and a few up there. Beautiful. A few more on this plant, just as nice. I'm going to pass these to Diane because it's awkward to get to the back. See how nice. The few red ones, we'll take these. This is King of the North. There's 2. 3. 3. There you are, a little bit of greening still to come, but they will change once they start. We'll have this one as well. There you are, it is on the turn, it won't be long. This is our harvest. Big swede, lovely big swede. Lovely cabbage, they really are doing well, these cabbages, I'm very pleased with them. Some carrots, now these are only thinnings, so they're doing rather well in that frame. 3 leeks, and this is absolutely brilliant. It's the first proper parsnip I've been able to grow on this garden for too many years. Lovely cucumber, a bit bigger than what we like, but I just wanted to see how big we could get one. Some wonderful peppers, sweet peppers, box peppers, done very, very well this year. These will probably all go for drying for the winter. There's the raspberries that we picked before we cut them down. They'll be nice. They are the last of the crop this year, so we'll enjoy those. And a couple of eggs from the late girls. We have 2 that lay a bit later than the others, so we have those mid-morning to late afternoon. Friday today. Now next week we'll show you how we're going to do the pots and the troughs at the front of the house, and probably a winter hanging basket round there to make it smile a bit more. Now the plants that are in there we'll have to store for winter, so I'll show you how we're going to do that. Now I hope you've enjoyed it this week, and many thanks for those people who subscribe, we do appreciate it. So hopefully I'll see you next week. Bye now.